Hey winemakers, Adam here with Village Winery Home Winemaking on day 21 of making our orange lemonade wine. 3 days ago, we fined this wine with bentonite and it's been sitting on a shelf, settling. You can see that our wine is not crystal clear, but it's much more clear than it was 3 days ago. We have about an inch of fining lees on the bottom, which is a combination of our bentonite slurry and the particles that it pulled down with it. Today, we're going to rack the wine off of the fining lees, filter the wine, and perform some final tests before we bottle tomorrow. Today, to separate the wine from the lees, I'm going to use a siphon. Unlike the past few rackings I've done where I decanted the wine, this lees is so fluffy that if I were to tilt this container, it would get kicked back up into suspension. So using our siphon is a little bit more precise. I siphon the wine off the fining lees into this water jug. I'm all out of glass jugs in the wine lab right now. I got too much going on, so this plastic jug from earlier in the process is gonna have to do. Before we siphoned it, I sanitized it, I purged it with CO2, just so the wine doesn't get damaged by oxygen in the jug, and now we'll filter it. Today, for filtering, we'll use the Buonvino Mini Jet Filter, which has just enough filter capacity and just enough power to clarify a wine up to 6 gallons. So we'll use the filter, but beforehand, we will clean and sanitize our jug and our filter. We'll purge the jug with CO2 to protect that wine, and then we'll be good to go. Wow. Would you look at how clear that wine is? I have the same wine that we made in the Easy Wine series with no filtering, no fining, no nothing. And just look at the comparison, it's night and day. You might also notice that we've lost a bit of wine since we started. At the beginning, we were about 3/4 full, and now I'd say we're maybe a little more than halfway full. And that's because of the repeated racking and fining and filtering. Every time we separate some solids, a little bit of the liquid goes with it. But I'm thinking just that little bit of liquid loss is going to be very worth it with the quality of our end product. Now, before we end for the day, I'm going to do a total acidity test and a taste test, because if you'll remember, in the beginning, we tested our total acidity and it was a little bit higher than we wanted. We followed that up with a taste test, and you could taste that the total acidity was higher than we wanted. So now we're going to retest both with the probe and as a taste test to see if through fining, through filtering, through the fermentation, maybe the total acidity has mellowed out a little bit, become a little more palatable. But if it hasn't, now is the time for me to add a little bit of calcium carbonate chalk to bump up the pH and bump down the total acidity. So actually, in a surprise development, I'm gonna bottle today. We've made all the proper adjustments to our wine, we've sulfited it, we've filtered it, so all that's left to do is pour it into the bottles. I'm going to purge these bottles with carbon dioxide to protect our wine, and since our batch is so small, I'm just gonna use this sanitized funnel and pour it into our bottles. We'll add corks, we'll add labels, and this is it, we're done. Now, I'll add labels to our bottles. that were actually designed by my buddy Ryan, who a decade ago was the first person I made wine from orange juice with. So this is pretty special. Check it out. I named this wine after the original orange wine that we made a decade ago. We named it the Downeaster after the train that went by our apartment at University of New Hampshire. This is pretty special. So now I'm gonna do a little tasting before I leave you for this installment of Upping the Brix. If you make this wine exactly the way I did, this is what you can expect from your wine. Very citrusy smelling, and a little herbal, a little maybe like anise, something that you would find in your spice closet. I'm trying to get better at identifying spices, but like a baking spice. And I think that spice flavor comes from the pulp of the juice. It tastes kind of like a very concentrated lemon or orange rind. So this wine would probably benefit from, 1 to 3 months in the closet to mellow out. But honestly, you've got 2 bottles of wine, and it's pretty good right now. My vote is to drink it up and make another batch. Whatever you decide to do with your wine, and it is up to you, I hope you had fun making it. I had a lot of fun making it with you. Stick around for installment 2 of Upping the Brix, coming soon. In the meantime, share your wine with your friends, get excited, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you like my videos. I'll see you soon.